You can go alone. A lot of people do. But I want to talk about what you're leaving on the table when you do, because it's more than you think. Welcome to the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. I'm your host, Chris LeBrun, helping you achieve your goals in every area of life so you can dream big, plan smart, and live fully. There's a version of the personal development journey that looks like this. You set your goals, you make your plan, you put your head down, and you grind through the hard days by yourself. Then you celebrate the wins quietly, and you figure out the problems on your own because asking for help feels a little bit like admitting that you didn't have it all together. I know this version well. I have lived it in my own life, and I want to tell you that there is a better way. When I started building the Holistic Productivity brand, I had 3 business partners, friends of mine. They are smart, creative, entrepreneurial people who had been in the trenches of building things and knew what that actually looked like. And what happened when I brought my idea for the planner into that room, into that group of people, was absolutely amazing. Because it grew in ways that it would have never grown on my own. Not because they did the work for me, but because they pushed back on my assumptions. They asked questions I had never thought to ask. They brought perspectives I didn't have, different backgrounds, different experiences, different ways of seeing the same problem. When I was stuck on something, we'd wrestle with it together and almost always come out the other side with something better than what I walked in with. And then there were the hard days, the days when the motivation was gone and the progress felt invisible, and I was starting to wonder if any of this was going to work. Those days are brutal when you're alone with them, but when you have other people around you who are building something also, people who understand the uncertainty and the doubt, everything changes. They encouraged me when I was losing steam. They reminded me why I started, and they made it possible for me to keep going. What I remember the most from that season is the relief of not being the only one, of having someone to talk to who actually got it, who didn't need a 5-minute explanation of why it was hard. They already knew. They got it. Shared understanding is something you simply cannot manufacture on your own. It only exists in community. Here's what I've learned from that experience and everything since. Who you spend your time with is one of the most underestimated variables in whether you reach your goals or not. We think about systems and habits and time management and focus. All of those things matter. But the people around you shape what you believe is possible. They set the standard for what normal effort looks like. They show you the roads you didn't even know existed because they've already been down them. If you're trying to start a business, you need to be around other entrepreneurs. If you're on a fitness journey, start spending time with other runners or gym rats or, exercise people. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying every to-do list or project management app, you know how exhausting it can be. You download the app, you set it up, enter all your data, and then scramble to cancel it before the trial ends. Trust me, I've been there and it's no fun. That's why I love Efficient.app. Alex and Andra, a husband and wife team, have spent over a decade testing and reviewing software of all types so you don't have to. Calendars, project management, banking, planners, email marketing, you name it, they've covered it with honest reviews and side-by-side comparisons. And they don't sugarcoat it. If a tool isn't worth your time, they tell you straight up. I've personally found their reviews super helpful when I was trying to sort through different project management apps. It saved me a ton of time and frustration. Best of all, they often have special deals on the tools they recommend so that you can save money. I'm especially grateful to Efficient.app because they've been supporting the Holistic Productivity Podcast since the very beginning. The best way to check them out and support the podcast is through the link in the show notes. So next time you're looking for software, let Efficient.app do the work for you. Trust me, you will not regret it. If you're trying to grow creatively, get around people who are creating, not so you can copy what they're doing, but so that you can absorb their energy, their standards, and their belief that the thing you're trying to do is actually doable. And here's something else I've discovered that still surprises me a little. I learn more when I'm helping others than when I'm going it alone. There is something about being in a community where you're both a learner and a contributor, where you bring your experience to help someone else and find that in doing so, you understand your own journey better. Growth in community is not just faster, it's deeper. This is one of the reasons that I've built an online community for holistic productivity. It's a place where people from all walks of life and all around the world are coming together to work on their goals, whether it's professional, personal, or purpose-driven. These are people who want more from life, people who are trying to dream big, plan smart, and live fully. In the community, there are resources, there are real conversations happening, and yes, we have some fun too. It's free to join, and the link is in the show notes, and I would love for you to check it out. We would love to have you be part of that community. But here's what I want you to hear, even if the holistic productivity community is not the right fit for you. Build community somewhere. Find your people, the ones who are working on something similar, who will challenge you and encourage you and show you what is possible, because you are not destined to grow in isolation. Going alone is an option, but it is a slower, harder, lonelier one than it needs to be. Find your people, then go further together. So we just talked about how community changes everything, how the people around you can carry you when you can't carry yourself, how support turns an impossible goal into a possible one. But here's one thing that's easy to forget about community. It can hold you up, it can cheer you on, it can walk beside you, and yet there's still a moment where you have to take the next step by yourself. No one can take that step for you, not your spouse, not your best friend, not your coach, not even me. I was reminded of that this week reading a book called Lives of the Stoics by Ryan Holiday. It's basically 25 short biographies of the people who built Stoic philosophy back in ancient Greece and Rome. And one chapter, the one on Marcus Aurelius, had a quote that really resonated with me. Now, most people know Marcus Aurelius as the philosopher king. He was the guy who wrote Meditations, and if it's not ringing a bell, he was the emperor who died at the beginning of the movie Gladiator, okay? The most powerful man in the world at that time, and somehow also one of the most self-aware. But here's what a lot of people don't know. Marcus never wanted the job. He'd studied the emperors who came before him. He'd watched power corrupt good men into bad men, and bad men into monsters. He knew exactly what the throne could do to a person's character, and he was terrified of becoming one more name on that list. He had real, legitimate reservations about stepping into that role. And Holiday makes a point in that chapter when he writes, quote, "Reservations are not the same as cowardice, however. The most confident leaders, the best ones, are often worried that they won't do a good enough job. They go in knowing it will not be easy, but they do proceed." Let that sink in for a minute. The most confident leaders are often the most worried they won't measure up. They walk in knowing it's going to be hard, and yet they walk in anyways. Marcus didn't get to opt out of being emperor because the job scared him. The mantle of leadership landed on him whether he felt ready or not. So he set his fear next to his sense of duty, and he chose duty. Fear rode along, but it just didn't get to drive. I think about that distinction a lot, reservations versus cowardice, because I don't think enough of us actually know the difference. Reservations sound like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm not sure I'll do well. What if I mess this up in front of everyone? That's not weakness. That's just you being honest about the size of the goal that's in front of you. Anybody stepping into something that actually matters should feel this. Cowardice, though, is different. Cowardice is what you do with your reservation. Cowardice is letting that fear make the decision for you. It's the manager who sees a problem on the team and says nothing because confronting it might go badly. It's the person who knows they need to have the hard conversation with their spouse or leave the job that's draining them or finally chase the thing that they've wanted for 10 years. And instead, they just wait. They call it being careful, quote unquote. They call it not being impulsive. But if you're honest, a lot of the time, it's just fear wearing a responsible sounding costume. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. Living with pain is no fun at all. Whether it's sore muscles from a workout, nagging joints, or even stress that just won't leave you alone. That's why I love Little Golden Shepherd. They make all natural butters from organic herbs and essential oils formulated to ease pain, reduce stress, and even soothe sensitive skin. I use the muscle butter after tough workouts, and the joint butter is perfect for my knees, which somehow were bad even when I was a kid. I'm so grateful to have Little Golden Shepherd sponsoring the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. The way they support the show is super simple. Every time you shop through the link in the show notes, a portion of your order helps keep this podcast going. And here's the best part. If you use the promo code WHOLEPROD, you'll save 15% on your first order. That's promo code WHOLEPROD, WHOLPROD. Try Little Golden Shepherd today. You're going to love it as much as I do, and your muscles will too. I've watched leaders do this. You probably have too. A real decision needs to be made. And instead of making it, they stall. They ask for one more round of data, one more meeting, one more sign that it's safe. And they tell themselves that's wisdom. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's cowardice dressed up nice. So here's what I want you to think about today. If you're chasing something big, a goal that's going to change the shape of your life, of your family's life, or the people that you lead, you are going to have reservations. That's not a red flag. That's not a sign that you're on the wrong path. Marcus Aurelius had reservations about running an empire, and he turned out to be one of history's most respected leaders precisely because he took the responsibility that seriously. The reservations aren't the problem. What you do with them is the problem. So ask yourself the question Marcus had to answer. Is this hesitation helping me move carefully, or is it just an excuse to not move at all? Because those are two very different things, and only one of them is going to get you where you're trying to go. Your community, the people we just talked about, they'll walk beside you. They'll remind you why the goals matter when you forget. But eventually, there's a threshold only you can cross. Marcus crossed this. The question today is whether you're going to cross yours or whether you're going to keep calling your fear prudence, quote unquote, until the opportunity's gone. Have the reservations. Just don't let them talk you out of walking through the door. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this has been valuable for you. I hope that you have enjoyed this. Check out the show notes at holisticproductivity.com/71. I'll have a link to the book that I mentioned there by Ryan Holiday. Love Ryan's books. You've heard me talk about him before. So make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. You can watch the show there. We have new episodes that drop every single week. You do not want to miss those. And when you like, follow, and subscribe, that is the best way to get those delivered to you. If you got value from today's episode, if you enjoyed it, if you found yourself saying, oh man, that's helpful, I would love to see your 5-star rating. That's the best way to help other people find the show and enjoy what you are already enjoying here at the Holistic Productivity Podcast. You can also follow at Holistic Productivity on all of the social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, Substack. They are all there. I would love to have you follow along. It's another part of community that you can be there and with us on social media. And I got a lot of great productivity tips and motivation throughout the week. And I already told you about the Holistic Productivity Community. Link will be in the show notes for that. We would love to have you join us there as well. Again, thank you so much for listening. As always, the reason that I do this podcast, the reason that I spend this time with you is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. And I'm so excited to see what happens when you do that. All right? Have a great week.